Today is the 29th day of Chodesh Shvat, and we are learning Daf Kuf Zayin Amud Aleph in Maseches Pesachim, where the Gemara we are some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines down from the top of the Amud, halfway through the Amud, where we are talking about Kiddush and Havdalah, and the Gemara records the following Memra of the sons of Rav Chisda. Amri le Mar Yenuka Mar Kashisha Berei de Rav Chisda le Rav Ashi. Mar Yenuka and Mar Kashisha, the sons of Rav Chisda, said the following to Rav Ashi. Who exactly is Mar Yenuka and Mar Kashisha? So Mar Yenuka means young one and Kashisha means old one. So there's a machlokes Rashi Taisus whether Mar Yenuka means the younger son and Mar Kashisha is the older son, or Yenuka means the son that Rav Chisda had when he was younger, and Mar Kashisha is the son that Rav Chisda had when he was older. So it's machlokes who's the young and who's the old that we're referring to. Is it Rav Chisda or it is his children? Either which way, these two sons of Rav Chisda said to Rav Ashi, it once happened that a Meimer showed up in our town. We didn't have any wine. And therefore we brought him beer. And he refused to make Havdalah on that beer. And he went to sleep without eating anything. He went to sleep fasting. It's a reference to Sefer Daniel. The next day we slept out. We went to go find wine for him. And he made Havdalah. And he ate something. That's part one of the story. Lishana, the next year, to Ikla La'ashin, he came back. He came back to visit his scholar in residence, second time around. Lo Havalan Chamran, we didn't have wine. I seen the shikha, so we brought beer to him. Okay, why do we bring beer? So Amari said, if this is so, Chamar Medinahu. It seems to me that the regular normative drink that they have here is beer. It's not wine. Va'avdil, and therefore he made Havdalah on the beer v'tam midi, and he had something to eat. Meaning, he held that you could make Havdalah on the Chamar of the Medina. He didn't know that the Chamar of the Medina in our town was beer, and we didn't know what was going on. So we went and we found him one, and that's how he discovered that this was the Chamar of the Medina in our place. Shemamina Tfas. We learned from this three things. Shemamina, number one. Firstly, even though he made Havdalah in davening, you still have to make Havdalah al hakos, and without that, you wouldn't be able to eat. That's the second thing. You're not allowed to eat until you've made Havdalah al hakos. And the third thing is anybody that has not yet made Havdalah on Shabbos, you are able to still make Havdalah for the rest of the week. Now, that third member the Rashbam points out is not exactly Meduya, because we had two members at the top of the Amud in the name of Rava. Whether it was a person that missed Havdalah on Matzah Shabbos, are they allowed to make Havdalah until Tuesday, meaning that was the whole week, or only until Sunday? The member that we have here, so the Rashbam points out, is it seems to be that so that's not Meduik. The Tosfos notes here that Mavdil Halach Kol Shabbos Kula. So Shmami not Mavdil Kol Shabbos Kula. Tosfos says the Tosfos Divrei Maskil Shma Lo Shemini Mina Ella Kol Yom Ella Nakid Hach Mishum Da Halacha Kain. So what's the reason that the Gemara chooses this language, even though it's not accurate that we learned it from the stories, because that is in fact the halacha. We pass on like the Lishna Kama and not the Lishna Basra at the top of the Amud in the name of Rava. Okay. What about making Kiddush on beer? We know that Havdalah on beer is mutter. That we know from the story that we just told of the sons of Rav Chisda. But are you allowed to make Kiddush on beer? Amari said, "Hashto ma pirzoima uteini v'asne." What about pirzoima, which is a barley kind of beverage, uteini, and a fig beverage v'asne, and some kind of berry beverage? Rashi says tutim. I don't know if that means strawberries in the days of Rashi, but some kind of berry beverage. Debai minei mirav. We asked Rav, v'Rav meravchia, and Rav asked us from Ravchia, and Ravchia merebi, and Ravchia asked us from Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. V'loi pashalei, and he didn't answer him. Meaning, it seems to be that he didn't want to say that it was mutter. You have a question about beer. All of these drinks are definitely better than beer. So clearly, It seems to be no. Savamina kedusha delay makdushinon ilove. It seems to be that he holds that you cannot make kiddush on anything other than one, but you can make havdalah on the Chamad of Medina. Amar lehu, he said to them, Amar lehu, Rechizda then said, Hachi Amar Rav, this is what Rav said. The same way that you're not allowed to make kiddush on beer, you're also not allowed to make havdalah on beer. Itmar Nami, and it was said also Amarav Tachlif Bar Avimi Amar Shmuel. Rav Tachlif, the son of Avimi, said in the name of Shmuel, Kashem Shein Makadshim Alav Kach Ein Mavdin Alav, the same did. Just like you cannot make kiddush on it, you also cannot make havdalah on it either. And that would seem to be, this is Chamad Medina notwithstanding, meaning if there is one available, that seems to be what we're talking about. But we'll see further. Levi Shadallah Rebbe Shichra Bar Tzleisa Megane. Rebbe sent to Levi sent to Rebbe a Shichra, a beer Bar Tzleisa Megane. What exactly does it mean Bar Tzleisa Megane? So apparently this was the 13 filtered beverage, or that's how Rashi says nasan maim al tamar ve'achar shezavu nasan al tamar machirim v'chein hevi tamar ad yugim pamim, meaning either it had 13 batches of dates or 13 times filtered. So that's according to Rabbeinu Chananel or according to Rashi and the Rashbam. But either way, it's a very spitz drink. This shichra, this beer beverage that they brought. Tame, he tasted it. Have a basam tuva, and it was amazingly delicious. Amar, he said, this you can make kiddush of it. This is delicious. And sing all of the praises and songs in the world over this, meaning this is good for everything. However, that night he was in tremendous pain. Amar, he said, "Mi yasser, it causes suffering. Or mefayis, how could it be that we use this to praise Hashem?" So no go. Amar Rav Yosef said, Rav Yosef, I will take a public oath that I will not drink beer. And this is Rav Yosef L'Shitaso, who held that a public oath can never be annulled, meaning you can never do Ataras Nadarim for an oath that is taken in public. He says, I'm happy to publicly swear that I will never drink beer ever again. So swearing off a beer forever. Amar Rava said, Ishti mei zoryan v'lo ishti shichra. I would rather drink flax water, meaning water that has, that's disgusting. V'lo ishti shichra, and I don't want to drink beer. Amar Rava said to have a shakyusei shichra mad mekadesh shichra. Rava said that anybody that makes kiddush on beer, as opposed to on wine, because he's trying to save money, wine is expensive, beer is cheap. Anybody that makes kiddush on beer, that is all that they will have the ability to make kiddush on. Meaning that's the curse for drinking, for making kiddush on beer, is that will be the only beverage that you have the capacity to purchase. Rav once found Rav Huna making kiddush on beer. Amarle, he said to him, "Shari Abra mikni istri misichra." He says, "Is it Abba?" Meaning Shari Abba, is it? It is permissible for Abba, you, he says this out of covered, lemikni ishri mishichra, that you are now making a living off of beer. Meaning the only reason that you would think that beer is so good is because now you're making your living from it. So this is your wares, meaning you're now a fine shmecker when it comes to beers, because this is your parnasa, or because now you are trying to advertise the beer. But in general, this would be awesome. Assuming there's one available. The Brisa says we only make kiddush on wine. We only make brachos on wine. Says the Gemara, hold on a second. All of a sudden, water you don't make a bracha on, and beer you don't make a bracha on. You should make shachal and bevar. What's the problem? Shachal near bedvar. Those are the brachas. Amar Abaye says no. This is what we mean. In omrim have a kosher bracha levarich. You don't say to somebody, bring me a kos, let's bench over wine. That you can say. But you don't say, let's bench over a cup of water. Let's bench over a cup of orange juice. Let's bench over something. And there's a big question exactly what the definition of Chamad de Medina is. And there's a big shaila in the Rishonim and the Achronim. Does it have to be something alcoholic? Does it have to be something that everybody enjoys? Does it have to be the most populous drink available? Ramosha writes that the Chamad de Medina is something that you'd be mechabed somebody else for. So, meaning when you say to somebody, would you let's go out for a cup of? Nobody ever says let's go out for a cup of soda. Let's go out for a cup of orange juice. You said let's go out for a l'chaim. Let's go have a drink. Let's have a cup of coffee. That could be a Chamad de Medina. Let's have a cup of tea. That could be a Chamad de Medina. But Ramosha writes that soda, for example, even though everybody drinks it, it's not a Chamad de Medina because you wouldn't be mechabed somebody with it. There's no honor in drinking Coca-Cola. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. The Brisa says as follows: Ein mekachin al hasheichar. We don't make kiddush on beer. Mishum Rabbi Lazar bar Rabbi Shimon. Amru. But in the name of Rabbi Lazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, this is Rabbi Shimon Yochai, they said, Mekachin, you can make kiddush over sheichar. Mit imas yain kolshu, make kiddush over. And mit imas yain kolshu, and when you make kiddush over one, you taste it, you have to taste it even a tiny bit of it. That's what you need to taste. Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda Omer Meloi Lugma. Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda says, no, not just a sip, you have to drink a cheek full. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav says Rav Huna and Rav, V'chein Tani Rav Gidl, Dimin Nerish. And this is exactly what was taught by Rav Gidl, the Dimin Nerish, of Nerish. Hamakadesh, the person that makes Kiddush, V'tam Malay Lugma Yatza, and drank Malay Lugma, and drank a cheekful, Yatza, he's fulfilled his obligation of Kiddush, Vim Lav, and if he didn't, Lo Yatza, he has not fulfilled the mitzvah of Kiddush. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yisrach says, Rav Nachman Bar Yisrach, Ana Tanein La Gidl Bar Menasya, V'Lo Gidl Bar Menyumi. I taught this not from Gidl, the son of Menasya, and not from Gidl, the son of Menyumi. Ela Gidl Stam, but just Gidl. I heard this, that there was the name of Gidl. The Mai Nafkamina, what's the Nafkamina? Which Gidl taught what? Le Memra Didei Adidei, in case you find another Memra of a Rav Gidl, that would be contradictory. You need to know which Gidl said what in order to make sure that you are not finding internal contradictions. And then the Gemara continues with the next statement of the Mishnah, which is Samach LaMincha. You're not allowed to eat Arve Pesachim, Samach LaMincha, and that is our next phrase of the Mishnah, which we have not yet seen in our parak. We will continue with the next line of the Mishnah and the Gemara at the bottom of Kuz Zayin Amud Aleph tomorrow, as we pick up for Rosh Chodesh, wishing everybody a Chodesh Tov U'Mevarech, and Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, it should be an odor filled with simcha for us and for the entirety of Klal Yisrael.